Thank you, Ian. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be moderating this panel right now. I've got some of my favorite people present to talk a little bit about how creators are going to be evolving Web3. And I mean, many of you probably already know what Web3 is. I mean, you guys are here. But I think that it's important to set the stage, if you will, for kind of how we got here, right? So originally when the internet came out, everyone, at first it was a very nerdy engineers, like, this is amazing. I really have to be part of this. But it took a while for the masses to actually really figure out the appeal of what the internet could do, right? So we had a lot of content and information on the internet. And then with Web 2, what was really exciting is we could kind of upload our own content. We finally had that stage that we all wanted. We had the voice. We could create things. We could share it. It was very social. But now what we've come to see is that a lot of our creations we don't even own half the time, right? And we're at the mercy of so many other people to actually, distribute our things, to say our message, to own our content. And so really the genesis of Web3 that I firmly believe in is that it's going to be the creators, the people creating content, the people really driving the Web3 innovation forward and really changing the dynamic. So I'm very excited to introduce our panelists. So if you will, please introduce yourselves one by one and tell the audience a little bit about what you guys are doing in this space. So who you are, what you do, and what you're doing.
My name is DJ. I am the co-founder of the Metagoons, and we originally started out as an Axie Infinity play-to-earn guild, but as we saw that this guild economy was becoming unsustainable, it allowed us to actually go out and create a gaming accelerator that focuses on the creatives. And before this, I was an ex-Division I football player and a professional RuneScape player and skiller.
I'm Kai Henry, Chief Strategy Officer for a company called Fvckrender, which is a esports lifestyle, like a gaming company. And yeah, I run Web3, I run creative. Before this, my background's in music, entertainment. I was an entrepreneur for 10 years. I started a YouTube channel back in 2008 with DJ Ski called Ski TV. And then after that, just developed a bunch of lifestyle products. I owned a few agencies in the space, doing lifestyle marketing over a decade ago. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Sueco. I'm an artist. Does it say up there? Well, as of last month, I'm a platinum selling recording artist.
Woo!
Cool. I know, that's cool, right? I'm signed to Atlantic Records, which is part of a Warner Music Group. And for those of you who don't know, Warner Music Group just did a large partnership with The Sandbox. And a couple days ago, we announced I'm dropping a Experience Season 3 with Sandbox. That's why I'm out here. I spoke at the panel a couple days ago. It's going to be really cool. First of its kind that includes recorded music. So that's kind of what I'm doing in the space right now.
I love it. Here you guys go. You got a real live creator that is in the metaverse, if you will. So great. I mean, again, all of you guys have exceptional kind of experiences and interactions in this field. But I'd also like to talk about what it was like, right? And Kai, you've been in this space for a while, in the talent creator space. What was it like, the last 5 years, right? And then what do you think the next 5 to 10 years are going to be like?
Yeah, I think the last 5 years, as far as just creators, I'm speaking from the perspective of the internet, right? So just creators that create on the internet, create user-generated content, right? I think we're kind of at the tail end of the whole UGC explosion. And so, that's been around for longer than 10 years, with Web 2 and just, you've got your social media platforms, and you've got your, YouTubes and Twitches and, all these platforms where you can create content on ancillary platforms that you don't own, right? And so, back in my day, but like 2008, there was no advertisement really on YouTube, and so I think it was it was the wild, wild west at that point as far as UGC goes. And, you were able to go directly to brands and make content for them on the internet, put it into your whatever content you're making and make money direct with brands. And then the algorithm came into play on YouTube, and like, you know, that model as far as, you know, how creators monetize, the actual money has gone down for the creator, right? So we're at the tail end of that over the last 5 years, and what you're seeing is you're essentially seeing really smart, forward-thinking creators evolve that content, right? And this is not within Web3. This is Web2, but so I'll give you an example, like Nelk Boys or Sidemen, right? They're taking platforms like YouTube and they're using those platforms now as a catcher's mitt. They're going, hey, I'm not making enough money here, but for right now, I'm going to aggregate my audience and my community in this way, and then migrate that over to an app like a Sidemen Plus, or, you know, it's something that they own, so that they can deliver content to a more focused community that they have, and own it. And so now I think Web3 just gives everybody more tools to own your content. So, you know, shifting from UGC to UOC, user-owned content. And content comes in many forms. I'm speaking about it, you know, as far as like video content online. But, you know, content's also your digital products you're putting out, and assets that, you know, represent you and your brand. So I think the last 5 years has been, you know, that shift and content creators really understanding, okay, I want to own this. And the next 5 years will be an explosion, you know what I mean, of everybody. You know, there's going to be multiple platforms. We've got this metaverse thing going on, whether it's AR or VR. There's going to be so many places to create content and own it and shift it and migrate it across platforms. So it's just an exploratory phase right now for the next 5 years, and you see an explosion for creators. So it'll be like that wild, wild west when back, you know, with YouTube, when you can go to a brand and be like, hey, give me $50,000 a month and I'll start putting your stuff in here, you know? So yeah.
Amazing. Well, you touched on some points that I find really interesting, especially the kind of user-owned aspect of things. And we can see some of these kind of legacy Web2 companies that were really transformative and definitely had, I think, a place in the evolution. But, you know, Facebook, for example, when they announced taking something like 45% of revenues, it's like of things that people create. It's just such an old mentality that doesn't necessarily need to exist. I think people crave now being compensated for their attention or their time, right? Their contribution to something, which is very, very interesting. One other thing I'll share that I thought was hilarious is that, you know, someone said Twitch and YouTube were kind of the like OG play to earn, because if you're a content creator, you can kind of like play with them and earn. But again, things definitely need to be shifted. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I actually just wanted to chime on something Kai said. Like a lot of the platforms, there aren't in the incentive of the creator. You know, we have a good friend, and Kai, I'm pretty sure you know him, Mims, who came out with the song "This Is Why I'm Hot," and he didn't actually own the rights to that song, and that song got streamed billions and billions of times all over the web, still getting hundreds of millions of streams, and he didn't see a dollar from that. So it's us kind of, you know, breaking the chains so that the artists or the creators can really get the value from all of their work and the hard work that they put in.
Well said. Well said. All right. Well, I have a question for you, Sueco. How the F did you get into NFTs and Web3? Talk to us a little bit about that.
How much money you making now, man? That you know what I mean? That you just like platinum selling and you're in the metaverse and you're doing what? Like we doing good?
We're not doing bad, I'll tell you that. Well, originally what kind of got me interested in the space was really two things. One, kind of to what you guys are saying, is creator-owned content. I was really interested in that and being able to really build more of a community. That's really what I wanted to do and what got me interested in the space in the first place. And specifically things like the metaverse, things like the sandbox. What got me interested was in traditional social media and Web2 platforms, something like Twitter, you can only engage with your fan base or your audience to a specific level. Like even like a Twitter space, you're talking to them, there's a conversation back and forth, but there's nothing more than that. It's not a full experience. You're not really there with them. And that's what got me interested specifically, again, in something like the sandbox, because let's say you put on that headset, you go and you're in, I mean, you're not in real life with them, but it's the closest thing you can get. And really building a deeper connection with my followers and with my fans in ways that you can't do with traditional social media. That's really why I got interested in the first place. And then that was like 2 years ago almost when I really started getting introduced to everything. It was my manager, Lucas. He's really been involved in the space for a while. And really it just started with me knowing that I didn't know anything and being okay with that, and then doing my own research, looking stuff up online, just being curious, and going to events like this and not being afraid to look stupid and ask questions.
Great. Keida, did you have a comment?
No, I was actually going to say that you have the best dress manager, but
Lucas is amazing.
Hey,
I have to call you out, Lucas, but
yes.
yeah. I completely agree, and it's funny. I remember I was working with Aoki's team on something, and Matt was mentioning that on one of his first Twitter Spaces that Aoki was like, if this NFT, if this does well, everyone's partying at my house, and it reached that threshold, and the community has not forgotten that they are owed a party at Steve Aoki's house. So. Fortunately, with the sandbox, right, it allows them to have everyone can have a party with Steve Aoki at his house in the sandbox. So to your point, it kind of breaks down the barriers, I'd say, of space, time, etc. So I'd love to talk a little bit about, how are we getting there, right? And DJ, I feel like you are a perfect person to answer this. Like, what are some of the challenges, right? It's like, what are the challenges, and then how are you and MetaGoons or kind of the community looking at approaching them and solving them?
The biggest challenge right now is education. There are a lot of traditional gamers that think NFT gaming is a scam, which it's not. So in order to break that barrier down, we have to familiarize people with individuals or artists, celebrities that they are comfortable with. Like some of our original IPs at the MetaGoons, Manny Pacquiao, Tyson Fury, working on something with Bob Marley. Those are individuals that people can see and say, hey, this is interesting, I know this person, I want to see what they're doing. And then creating a community around that and involving their community and cross-pollinating different communities so we can build it up together.
Great answer. And talking about communities and fan bases, I mean, Kai, FaZe Clan is arguably the genesis of what made gaming cool, right? Especially in North America, I would say that is definitely true for me. It went from, when I played video games, I was very nerdy. It was not social at all. And then the FaZe Clan kind of came out, and it was like cool cars. It was very hyped lifestyle. So talk a little bit about FaZe, right? One, I know you have kind of an exciting announcement, which is very cool, but then also like your community, right? And like how your community kind of approaches Web3 or how you guys think about Web3.
Can I just say something before you go, Kai?
yes, sir.
Just want to pay homage because a lot of what MetaGoons is doing is inspired by FaZe. So I just want to, give you your flowers on stage, man.
No, thank you. I appreciate that, but I think that, I didn't start FaZe. A bunch of internet kids started FaZe Clan. I'm more of a, I'm an old head, so my position at FaZe Clan is like a, I wouldn't even say a player coach. I might have graduated just coach now. But yeah, I appreciate that, and I see in what how you're building your MetaGoons and just really understanding how to find talent and get talent to congeal and have a vision for an organization where that talent wants to be a part of in Web3 and gaming in Web3 in particular. Like, that's the future, you know what I mean? So like, we done clicked up on that a lot. Obviously we've been talking for a year about this. But yeah, I think overall, for FaZe, I don't know, they made gaming cool, but I think they also just understood that there was a hole in the game, so to speak, at that point in time. That was like 11 years ago, and they understood that there was no real content around games, right? Similar to Web3 right now. There's a hole in the game. Like, the content's missing. You know what I mean? Just overall, I mean more like content to support the artistic vision, ideas. There's a gap there. So I think that for us, similar to what FaZe did 11, 10 years ago when, 5 internet kids all met on Xbox and were playing Call of Duty, and just like they had never met in real life, and they're just playing for a year, become best friends, all move into a house. Then they start cutting clips of trick shots of them doing crazy sniper tricks off of roofs, doing 360s and stuff, and uploading it to the internet and putting music to it, and these beautiful montages where people could consume things they love, quickly digest it in a way that makes sense to them. It's not being forced or programmed to them by someone that's not an artist or creating or actually living that lifestyle. And that's instantaneous, right? So that's where you close the gap between you, your brand, and your community. So I think that's what we want to replicate in Web3. I think people that live on the internet, that are kind of born on, in this internet age, really have an understanding of community and how close, your community is to you. I think traditional celebrities, the way things were set up for them is more like your audience is watching from across the street, right? And so if you're an influencer that's lived on the internet the last 15 years, you understand how close your community is to you. And so that gives you a great first mover advantage, moving forward in Web3, because you already kind of move like that. So I think for us, we're just looking to fill some of those gaps, replicate what Phase did initially with gaming, and do that here. And I also think that Phase can be, can help gaming culture embrace Web3 more, right? And that's really what I want to do, is not so much think about what FaZe Clan can do and release NFTs and do all this stuff. That's great, that's fun, and we're gonna do it, and our community hopefully will love it. But NFTs are a bad word in gaming, right? So it's literally, I take it upon myself as a personal mission to help fix that. And so if you're not thinking on that level, then I don't think I'm doing my job right. So hopefully that answered the question.
Yes, that did. That answered my question. And Sueco, I'm curious to hear too, your reception, the reception of your moves into Sandbox and your announcement, how your community has reacted, because you also have, you're a very accomplished musician. I'm not going to lie, I listen to your album on repeat all the time in the car. So check out Sueco if you haven't heard his music.
Thank you.
But talk to me, because you make a lot of content on TikTok, right? And it's really fucking funny. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse. But what does your community think about that, right? You've got a very active kind of following. What has their reaction been?
So a lot of my followers are, again, the internet kids. So to a lot of them, this isn't a foreign concept. They may not be super involved in the space, but they've obviously heard about NFTs and crypto and the whole Web3 space in general. But what's interesting that I'm seeing, especially in my Discord that I've seen, is people that don't know anything but are curious. They come into my Discord or into my community and they just start asking questions. Kind of like how I was just saying earlier. I didn't know anything, so I just asked questions. And then the kids that are Web3 native are just putting people on in the Discord. And that's how it happens organically. That's what I've seen. And that's what's really exciting to me, because kind of back to what you guys were saying, it does have this stigma in the mainstream world. And it's not until you start going in and asking questions and really learning that you understand what it's all about. And that's what I'm seeing that's happening. And that's what's exciting for me.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. Sorry, I think it's so important that you say you're Web3 curious. That's sick, because for everyone, I think that the education thing you're talking about, just being able to come out and say, there's so much that I'm learning this week. You know what I mean?
Me too.
I'm just running around like a sponge, just trying to learn everything, because that's where we're at, you know what I mean? And so the more as an artist you're doing that, I think that's what gives your community and your audience that comfort, you know what I mean? Where it's they're not being fed something, because in influencer culture, there's been too much bullshit, you know what I mean? Too many rug pulls, too many things going on where these communities are getting hurt. And so now everyone's kind of got their arms crossed, okay, well, show me that you care first. And then maybe we'll roll with you through that door, into Web3. So that's sick.
And then now is the best time to build. like I know the volatility in the market is very high, but this is where like all of the communities come together, all the thought leaders come together, all the builders come together, and they work hard. And during the next bull run, everything is so much better.
This was great ending there, and which leads me to my next and final question. If you could go back in time and tell yourself something, your 10-year-old kind of creator self or, kind of blooming career self, what would it be?
Sell the top in 2022.
Okay.
Sell the top in 2022. No, but for me, it would probably be play more video games, buy more Bitcoin early on, and then just put myself out more to, gaming studios or publishers and reach out to people, send emails, and just, get out of my comfort zone, meet as many people as possible, and learn.
Okay.
I would tell myself to not let my dad sell my comic books and my baseball, basketball, and football cards.
Oh, no.
Because I had fire, I had heat.
Which ones did you have?
I had everything. I had everything. I had everything. I had everything. It was a vast collection, and no, I don't know if he sold it. I think it something happened to it. I don't know, but I think that would be it. I would love to have that hanging around.
It's funny that you say that, because I actually went and got my PS2 fixed so I could play my old anime RPG games, my PS1 games. And what was shocking is actually when I went to this old video game store in Miami, is they were like, well, these are getting more expensive now. And it's crazy to think that like our PS1, PS2 games are going to become collectibles, right? Yeah. It seems like there wouldn't be, but they will be. So food for thought. And you, Sueco?
Buy Bitcoin. Don't buy that car. Buy Bitcoin.
Buy Bitcoin. Okay. All right. And I think that's time for us. So thank you so much, everyone. You can Google all these guys to stay in touch.
Oh, also, Metagoon. Oh, damn, my bad. Metagoons is driving around with an ice cream truck today. So if you see our truck in New York City, please come by. We got free ice cream for you. Custom-made Metagoons Pops.
It's not an NFT. Thank you, guys.
That was awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you.